Okay, so we talked about analogous colors. These are the colors that are next to each other in the color wheel. So when you start drawing, before you start drawing your actual bottles, you are going to choose. And again, I will show you this with a color wheel as well. But if you forget, you can always come back to this slide and the next slide. These are your three choices. You can do choice number 1, choice number 2, or choice number 3. You're going to use yellow, orange, and red, yellow, green, and blue, or red, purple, and blue. And when you draw, I want you to draw in that order, going from largest bottle, medium, to small, in the exact order I have listed. So these are called analogous colors, and they are next to each other on the color wheel. Okay, so for 5th grade, here's your project. We are going to do a still life. A still life is a series of objects that are set up that do not move, and you set them up, and we are going to draw them. What I would like you to focus on, we are going to do different size glassware, jars, anything of that nature. What you choose is up to you. The only thing is you're going to want a large one, a medium size, and a very small size, because we're going to progressively get smaller on our drawing. As far as colors, you are going to draw with colored pencils to start with. You can outline them in markers after, but to start, please use a colored pencil, because if you make a mistake, you can erase, especially if you have an erasable colored pencil. But your colors are limited. You only have 3 choices. We're going to work with analogous colors. Analogous colors are colors that are next to each other in the color wheel. So your 3 choices are, you can do yellow, green, and blue, yellow, orange, and red, or red, purple, and blue. So again, it's yellow, green, blue, yellow, orange, red, red, purple, blue. Those are the order that you're going to draw in. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do red, purple, and blue, and I'm going to do it in Sharpie just so you can see it, because I'm going to be drawing up here on the board. Okay, so my first jar is this large blue one, okay? Now, normally I would be sitting down to do this and have this in front, but I'm going to set it up so I can look at it right here and stand right here to draw it, just to take out a step. So my first jar is going to go in red, because that is the lightest color. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw this, and I want it to fit on the entire piece of paper. I actually want to do it kind of quick. I know we practice contour line drawing and you went really slow. With this one, we want to be a little more expressive, so it doesn't have to be so perfect. So again, what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw this right up on my paper with my red Sharpie. I want to make it the entire size of the paper. Again, if you notice, when I was drawing, I really didn't look at my paper. I didn't need to, but that is not perfect, but it's very expressive. And that's what we want. So again, you don't want to stare at your paper. You want to do this. You want to do it on the front, turn your paper over, and do it on the back. We always try and do 2 drawings, and we pick the best of the 2. Now comes my second set of jars. Now, I know you're not going to have something like these. I purposely bought these for this particular project at school. Whatever you can use that is smaller than this. I have 3. If you can't get 3, at least get 2. You need at least 2. If you can do 3, 3 is going to work a lot better. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to arrange these. And how it would look to you if you were sitting in front of this is it would go like that. And so I have this behind it and my medium jars right in front. Again, 3 if you can. If you can't, at least get 2. So I'm going to move this back, and now I'm going to draw this with my second color, which my color is going to be purple, because my 3 colors were red, purple, and blue. That is going from light to dark. And they are called analogous colors because they're next to each other on the color wheel. So now I'm going to go ahead and draw. And I'm going to start with the one in the middle, because I want to make them so big. Again, when we did our contour line drawing, I want to use the whole paper. I don't need to see all the objects, but I want to make them big, so I use space. Now these are going to be about half the size of that, so I want to go down about halfway. And what I see here is I've got this, and it comes down and does this. I have another one that kind of goes like that, comes in, and again, goes off like that. And then my last one, whoops, does this, cuts down, and goes off the paper. Now, are those perfect? No. They're a little more expressive. We're not trying to be perfect on this. We're going a little bit faster. That's why I want you to use pencil, because there were a couple mistakes here that I would erase. That's why you don't want to do it in marker. Now, my last set of jars are going to be my smallest. And I'm going to do this just to show you what this would look like. And I have 3 smaller jars. Again, all in front. Now, if you can't get 3, at least get 2. I'm going to move this back. I'm going to use my last color, which is going to be blue. And the blue will be my very last color on the smallest jars. Again, try and get 3. And I'm going to start with the one in the middle. So the one in the middle is round. Again, these are going to be half the size. Largest, medium, small. Everything is half the size or about there. You don't have to be perfect. And hard to draw on a piece of paper when it keeps moving on you. And then I have this part, which then cuts down and does this. And then I have this and does this. And there is my drawing. That is step 1. But what you guys are going to do is every time you draw one bottle, before you do the second set and move on, you're going to do a drawing on the opposite side. So I do the bottle on the front and the back. I put in my second set of jars. I draw it on the front, turn my paper over, do it on the back. Then I get my third set of jars. And I'm always alternating colors. And then my third set on the front, flip it over on the back. And then you're going to choose which of those 2 drawings you like the best. And I'm going to tell you how we're going to add some color and do some shading. Okay, so once you have your picture drawn out, you're ready to go, we're going to start adding some color. What I want you to use for this particular project are crayons and colored pencils. The only thing you could do with the marker if you wanted to was outline. Don't shade with markers. We just want to do crayons and colored pencils. You can just use one or you can use both. It's up to you. I kind of like to use both because you get a different look for them. Now, the reason I wanted you to outline these in color is because wherever these shapes overlap each other or touch each other, you can only use those colors. So really, I'm going to be using red, purple, and blue for a majority of my shapes. Now, much like your amorphic shapes, we want to do one shape as it is. I want to try and look at every shape as its own. So actually, in here, this circle here has 1, 2, 3, 4 different shapes in it. So I want to shade them each differently. Wherever you have 2 overlapping shapes, they usually create a third shape. Those are the ones I want you to shade in, as many as you can, and many different things. What I want you to concentrate on to this particular project with shading is called value. Value meaning how light or dark your color is, and it's all done by pressure. The harder you push on your crayon or your pencil, the darker your color is. The lighter, less pressure, that's the lighter value. So this is going to be a value type project. I want to have as many light and dark areas as I can make. So I have some red crayons, blue crayons, and I have some colored pencils here. So I'm going to go ahead and start. And it doesn't matter where I go first. So right now, I'm going to do this purple shape. I'm going to do it in red. Now notice the red line comes straight through here, so I'm not going to color the whole circle in because there's 2 shapes. But what I'm doing is I'm pushing kind of hard because I want to make this a nice dark red. And what we're trying to do is make a flat color. And a flat color means an area that has no light or dark areas. You want to try and make it a solid color, okay, as best as we can. So what I'm going to do is keep going here, and I'm going to finish up in just a second. And I'm not going to spend, I could make this a more flat color, but I don't want to waste your time. So there's my red shape. Now the color next to it, if that is dark, what we want to have next to it is a light value, and that's what we call contrast. Light areas next to dark areas. So for that spot, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my blue colored pencil, and I'm going to shade it in with a blue colored pencil, because if you notice when I'm done, you'll see that my red looks so much darker than my blue. And I'm not pushing really hard on my colored pencil, that way I keep it nice and light. And now I have some contrast, dark next to light. So here's another area. Now, it's impossible to always do dark next to light. The more you can try and do it, the better. What I can do too is I can vary some of my colors. So even if you have colored pencils or crayons and maybe you have like 3 different color reds, use them all. You know, pink's a red, light blue's a blue. So you can vary those two by bringing those extra colors, and that will make this so much easier. So right in here, what I think I am going to do is I'm going to do a medium color. So I'm going to push a little bit harder, and this is like a maroon, which is a combination of red and purple. But I'm going to make it a little bit darker than the blue, but it's not as dark as the red. And again, I want to try and get it so that you don't see any light or dark areas, and it's all one kind of solid color. Okay? So now I have a dark, a medium, and a light. I would continue doing all of my shapes that way. All the ones that are outlined in purple, red, or blue. Anything outlined in those, each shape gets colored. Now, for your background, here are the list of the complementary colors. These are what you're going to use for your background when you are doing the shading to everything other than the jars and the bottles. And the reason we are using complementary colors is these are across from each other on the color wheel. So if you chose the analogous color number 1 choice, your complementary colors are number 1 up here. So I have listed them according to the 3 complementary colors that are opposite of the analogous colors that you had drawn your bottles in. You can use all 3 of them, you can use 1, you can use 2, but you want to use one of those. So if you chose number 1 in your first group, you will choose number 1 in your for the analogous colors. If you chose number 2 for your bottles, you are going to do number 2 for your background. If you chose number 3 for your background or for your bottles, you will do number 3 for your background. And the reason we use complementary colors, again, is to make the colors stand out from each other and create more contrast. So if you forget, always come back to this. We're going to color the background in, but what we're going to do is, these are called analogous colors because they are next to each other in the color wheel. We want to go opposite on the color wheel. Now, if you're at home and you don't have a color wheel, you know what you can do? Just go online, look one up. So for my picture, I chose red, purple, and blue. Okay, so the opposite colors on the color wheel, and most color wheels are set up all the same way. Whenever you do this, you want to go across diagonally, ignore the triangles, go across through the gray center. So orange and blue, purple and yellow, red and green. So the 3 colors I'm going to use for my background are going to be orange, yellow, and green, because I did red, purple, and blue, and the complementary color for red is green, the complementary color for purple or violet is yellow, complementary for blue is orange. Now the reason we're doing opposite colors is because that creates more contrast. That same idea of the light next to the dark, complementary colors make each other stand out. So again, if you chose yellow, orange, and red, your complementary colors would be purple, blue, and green. If you chose orange, yellow, and green, your complementary colors are red, purple, and blue. If you chose yellow, green, and blue, your complementary colors are purple, red, and orange. Okay, so now I'm going to go on to my background colors and my complementary colors again. I have red, purple, and blue as my analogous. My complementary are orange, green, and yellow. So I have some orange. Now, I don't have a lot of space in my background. So what I might, so I have a big red area here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with green, because green is red's complementary color. And this is where, like in your amorphic shape, if you want to do one color into another, this would be a great opportunity. So I could do maybe some green into yellow, or yellow into orange. And what I'm going to do is, this is such a big area, I'm not going to take the time to color it all in, but you see what I'm doing? Even though this is dark, even if I make the background dark, it makes the red stand out because they're complementary colors. So in this instance, when you're using complementary colors, I don't have to worry about value because the colors create the contrast. Whereas if you're shading and you want to create contrast, you need to do light and dark areas next to each other. So I'm just going to stop right there on that part. I would continue doing this. So my background is all done with complementary colors. My bottles are all done with analogous colors. Again, pencil and colored pencil are all you need. Your paper should go up and down because your objects are taller than they are wide. And you're gonna color in all of these different shapes in your bottles with those colors creating contrast by value, and the background is done in complementary colors. And that is our still life of bottles with analogous and complementary colors. Good luck.